Testing and driving. Do you ever test it while driving? It is worth it? According to a 2019 journal from Chusoki Hasashi and others, testing while driving is even more prevalent in young drivers, with more than 90% of college students reporting that they have tested while driving. This does not mean that college students are the only ones testing and driving. We will see later that many drivers, excluding age, test and drive even when they know it is dangerous. I just want to emphasize the predominant factor and share information about this important topic that we, most college students, can relate to. Today, I will be sharing about how dangerous using your phone while driving is. I will speak about how research shows that testing and driving are major public health issues and illegal in many states. Also, I will speak about how accidents due to testing and driving can be prevented and why many drivers continue testing and driving regardless of how dangerous it can be. Testing while driving is a major public health issue. To understand more about this, let's look at the meaning of FOMO. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, FOMO means fear of missing out. Fear of not being included in something such as interesting or enjoyable activity that others are experiencing. Although smartphones have connected the world in unimaginable ways and have altered the way billions of people communicate, there are some disadvantages to this mobile technology. According to a 2022 journal by Shanklin Son and others, about how mobile use increased the fear of missing out among college students, mobile phones compulsive use has given rise to college student testing and driving. The students wanted to know what their friends are doing or talking about. In other words, they do not want to miss out. In addition, distracting driving due to secondary tasks such as cognitive, manual, and visual tasks is the leading cause of traffic accidents. I was reading a 2019 journal by Hasashi and others about impulsive decision making related to testing and driving. In the journal, the form of distraction can also be visual, such as looking away from the roadway. It can be manual, such as taking a hand off the steering wheel and manipulating a device or object. Or it can even be cognitive, such as thinking about something other than driving. All of these forms of distractions increase the risk of a motor vehicle crash. Testing while driving is illegal in many states. This map shows the testing and driving ban across the country. Currently, 47 states and the District of Columbia have enacted laws banning testing while driving for all drivers. Even surprisingly, some states even include no exception to allow a driver to test through a personal device while stopped in a traffic light. This means, in some cases, if the vehicle is running and the driver is waiting for the light to change, a police officer could ticket the distracted driver because the car is still part of the traffic. However, according to a journal from Hasashi and others, the law is difficult to enforce because many drivers may conceal the behavior to avoid fining. A national survey of police officers was conducted to determine whether barriers to enforcing these laws exist. The survey found out that the most common barrier to stop people from testing while driving is that 78% of drivers conceal the phone use. Accidents due to testing and driving are preventable. The three types of distracted driving are visual, manual, and cognitive. For visual distractions, the key to avoid distractions while driving are simple. We must keep our hands on the wheel and our eyes on the road if we are driving. Taking our eyes off the road for just 3 seconds can mean the difference between life and death. We should pull over to input new driving directions. Most drivers do not realize that typing directions into the phone GPS is the equivalent of testing and driving and just as dangerous. We should use the Do Not Disturb mode while driving. This will mute all incoming calls, tests, and other notifications, reducing distractions. For minor distractions, we should keep our phones out of sight and reach. It may not be enough to have the volume and vibrate feature off. Many drivers will still be tempted to grab the phone just in case someone had tested them. And so keeping the phone out of reach can fix this problem. We should make a basis adjustment before we hit the road, and we should not reach for intense while driving while the car is in motion. For kinetic distractions, it would be a good idea to avoid phone calls, even hand-free, because psychological research has shown that when drivers use cell phones, either handheld or hand-free, it can affect their attention to the road and driving skills. Also, we should pay attention to the road. Long drives are usually difficult because the mind tends to wander and we start paying attention to other things. Once we recognize our distraction, we can work to snap out of it and keep our attention on the road. This way, we can predict other driving movements. Another cognitive distraction we overlook is keeping our emotion in check. Getting behind the wheel when our emotions are running high can be dangerous. We may take more driving risks than we usually would when we are calm. I want to just point out that I understand that emergencies can happen. We might have an urgent situation, someone who needs our immediate attention, or relative in the hospital. Situations like this are understandable and often unavoidable. If we are expecting an urgent car test, we should just pull over before checking our phones. Now, let's touch base on drivers that continue testing and driving regardless of how dangerous it can be. According to a 2016 journal from Rock and Shoe and others about why drivers use mobile phones while driving, many drivers trust that their driving performance is not affected by testing while driving. The studies show that these drivers have developed their own strategies for testing while driving, so they feel they are keeping some kind of safety. Some drivers may use stop signs and red traffic lights to look in their phones and avoid using their phone in heavy traffic or while driving on curvy roads. Also, the studies show many drivers think it is important to stay connected while driving. They feel it is necessary to maintain communication via phone with their family and friends when they are on the road and away from home. However, although testing and driving could seem like an individual choice, it's still a dangerous activity, not only for the person driving, but also for others on the road. According to a 2019 AAA research, drivers who engage in testing while driving are 6 times more likely to be involved in a car accident. Also, phone use is a factor in quarter of all car collisions. What we learned today is that testing while driving is dangerous behavior and can increase the risk of car accidents. The law in most states prohibits reading or writing while the vehicle is in motion. We must remember that accidents due to testing or driving can be easily prevented, and people who think they are safe when testing and driving because it is essential to keep connected are more likely to be involved in a car accident. According to 2019 AAA research, despite that many drivers support laws restricting distracted driving, more than half of the drivers report having driving while talking on a handheld cell phone in the past 30 days. The other respondents report engaging in distracted driving by reading and typing a text or email on a handheld cell phone while driving. Unfortunately, this means that when it comes to testing and driving, the attitude of do as I say, not as I do still persists. We know testing while driving is dangerous. Let's do something about it today, by either waiting until we reach our destination, putting our phones aside, or placing them in silence mode while driving. Let's make a pledge to either ourselves or our loved ones that we will not test while driving. This would be a life-changing decision that could save our lives, protect our loved ones, and those on the road with us. Thank you for your attention.